see it.
For the nation, by the nation. Islam Alive Radio.
Good day, listeners. Today is Saturday, the 23rd of March. The time is 3 p.m. South African time. I'm your host, Ash Garigo, reporting from Cape Town, South Africa. This is the show, Liberation Education. Shukran for being tuned to Islam Alive Radio. Remember, you may check us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where you can like, share, and subscribe. For any queries, email us on islamaliveradio@gmail.com, or you can send us a WhatsApp on +27 81 217 6012. That's +27 81 217 6012. Disclaimer: the views and opinions of Islam Alive Radio expressed by any guest or presenter are not necessarily the views of Islam Alive Radio. Previously on Liberation Education, we interviewed St. Luke's Combined Hospices, and they are a national leader in palliative care for people who have life-threatening illnesses. They are not a place where people come to die, but a philosophy, a strong spiritual journey, and have a great support structure for mourning families and friends. Speaking of journeys, we take a step, or many steps, into the cold weather of Mount Kilimanjaro. Yes, that is right. The highest mountain in Africa, in Tanzania, or how people say the Horn of Africa. Cape Headline News reported on March the 6th, South African climbs Kilimanjaro to raise the Palestinian flag. I shall read a snippet of this to you. Anthony Svelto from Cape Town, South Africa, has climbed to the top of Kilimanjaro to raise the Palestinian flag. The journey to the summit of Kilimanjaro was challenging, yet it pales in comparison to the daily adversities faced by the Palestinians. Anthony says in every step he saw a reflection of their unyielding determination to overcome obstacles and aspire for a life marked by dignity, peace, and a right to self-determination. As a South African, I am deeply moved by our shared history of resistance against oppression and the universal quest for human rights. This act was not just a personal achievement, but a platform to amplify the voices of those who are often unheard, to shine a light on the ongoing plight in Gaza and beyond, and to remind the world of the importance of empathy, unity, and action in the face of injustice. By sharing this moment, I hope to inspire others to look beyond their summits, to stand in solidarity with all who are fighting for their rights, and to remember that our humanity is bound together across mountains and borders. Let this flag on Africa's highest peak symbolize our collective hope for a future where peace and justice prevail for Palestinians and all oppressed people worldwide. I am honored to have the man of the hour himself with us today, who raised the Palestinian flag on Mount Kilimanjaro, Anthony Svelto. Anthony, thank you so much for joining us today. Tell us a bit about yourself. I know many people are intrigued about who you are, your background, what you do, and where you are from.
Ashika, first of all, thank you for the opportunity to join you on Islam Live. My name is Anthony Svelto. I was born in France in 1986 to an Italian father and a Moroccan-French mother. My early years were marked by a move from Congo, then known as Zaire, to South Africa in 1987 to escape the civil war, settling in Cape Town when I was just a year old. Educated in French schools across Cape Town, Johannesburg, and France, I then moved to London for my undergraduate studies in architecture from 2007 to 2013. My career took me from London to Paris and back to Cape Town, working in architecture before pursuing further education in the United States at Arizona State University. There I completed 2 master's degrees focusing on architecture and sustainable architecture. My diverse background and extensive travels have exposed me to a wide range of cultures and communities, deeply ingraining a commitment to social justice in my work. This commitment is a cornerstone of my career in sustainable architecture, where I strive to design spaces that are not only environmentally friendly but also socially equitable.
Wow, that is amazing. Just already from birth, you have this wide, diverse nationalities and identities that impacted your life from your French, Italian, and Moroccan parents, and moving from Congo and come to Cape Town, South Africa, and then you still went on further to Western European countries, so you've been there as well, and then also with your architecture, dealing with climate change and social justice, just all these levels of, admirable work you do. So the second question I want to ask is, what are you doing now in terms of both your work and activism, like you mentioned, your social justice, activities?
Since returning to Cape Town in December of 2021, I've taken the helm of a project very close to my heart, overseeing the construction of a sustainable house I designed. This endeavor is a practical manifestation of my belief in architecture as a force for good, combining environmental sustainability with social equity. Through my work, I strive to demonstrate how sustainable architecture can directly support communities, addressing not just environmental concerns, but social injustices as well. My projects, whether an orphanage in Nepal or sustainable housing, are driven by the aim to tackle the world's pressing social, environmental, and economic issues through innovative design. My activism, much like professional work, is deeply rooted in a commitment to justice and compassion. Volunteering with the World Wildlife Fund and advocating for animal rights are reflections of my belief in a holistic approach to justice, one that encompasses all beings and the environment. As a passionate supporter of the Palestinian cause, this commitment extends to human communities suffering under oppression and injustice. The historical and ongoing struggles of the Palestinian people resonate deeply with me, compelling me to contribute through participation in support groups, protests, and raising awareness via social media and personal conversations. To those listening who share a concern for the planet and all its inhabitants, I urge you to recognize the power of collective action. Whether it's advocating for sustainable living, animal rights, or standing in solidarity with the Palestinian people, our actions can foster a more just and compassionate world. Let's use our voices, choices, and resources to support causes that strive for equity and freedom for all.
Thank you so much for that. I think everyone does need to realize the power of collective action, and the fact that you are involved with World Wildlife Fund, WWF, is also great as well. The fact that you are embedded in this social justice and environmental and all these levels of intersectionalities. And it reminds me of when I was on a call for African Climate Agency, and they spoke about how all these systems are interconnected. Just this environmental issues are connected to also the political ones, and how we should actually fight for these same issues and deal with the root causes of corporate or, all these capitalist environmental issues as well. So it's great that you brought that up with us today. You said that all the way from Cape Town, South Africa, we see what's happening in the land of Palestine. Nelson Mandela once said, "Our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians." Why do you think it is particularly powerful to make that statement for Palestine on Mount Kilimanjaro?
Raising the Palestinian flag atop Mount Kilimanjaro was deeply symbolic for me, intertwining my South African heritage, marked by its own fight for freedom and equality, with a gesture of solidarity towards the Palestinian people, symbols of resilience and the enduring human spirit. Kilimanjaro, a beacon for climbers from across the globe, represents not only a physical challenge, but also a universal symbol of natural beauty and the overcoming of obstacles. This international crossroads served as the perfect backdrop to make a statement for Palestine, illustrating that the struggle for freedom and dignity is a global concern, transcending borders and cultures. The ascent, while demanding, is a testament to the daily trials faced by Palestinians, reflecting their unwavering resolve to attain dignity, peace, and the right to self-determination. My journey up the mountain was a mirror to their relentless pursuit of justice, a reflection of our shared history of resistance and against oppression. As a South African, this act was more than a personal milestone. It was an opportunity to elevate the voices of the marginalized, to spotlight the plight of those in Gaza and beyond, and to advocate for empathy, unity, and action against the injustice that pervades our world. In sharing this moment, my hope is to inspire a global audience to recognize the importance of standing in solidarity with all who strive for their rights. Let the Palestinian flag on Africa's highest peak symbolize our collective aspiration for a future where peace and justice are not merely ideals but realities for the Palestinian people and for all oppressed communities worldwide. This gesture, inspired by Mandela's insight that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of Palestinians, reaffirms that the quest for justice is a universal one, echoing from the heights of Kilimanjaro across the world.
It truly is a powerful statement to make, especially at the highest point of Africa that experienced, colonialism on such a large scale, and just that statement to make to show this global act of solidarity and understanding the power of resistance, especially from South Africans who experienced apartheid before. It's really powerful, act of solidarity on Mount Kilimanjaro. You also said in your speech, I wish that Palestine and the Palestinians find the right to self-determination and the right to return to their homes one day. Explain the implications of this and what you mean for the youth that are curious about the Palestinian liberation.
In addressing the aspiration of Palestinian self-determination and the right to return, I draw upon principles established in international law and human rights. The territories of the West Bank and Gaza are recognized internationally as being under occupation, and the establishment of the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, or UNRWA, in 1949 highlights the enduring refugee status that began with the Nakba in 1948. This was when many Palestinians were forcibly removed from their homes with the creation of the State of Israel. This historic and legal context is vital for anyone seeking to understand the Palestinian plight. It underscores the inherent right of people to return to their homes and to live in peace and dignity on their land, a right that extends to Palestinians under international law. For young individuals curious about Palestinian liberation, recognizing these foundational truths is crucial. It provides perspective to view the Palestinian struggle not just as a regional conflict, but as a global human rights issue requiring informed awareness and supportive action. By understanding the historical and legal basis for Palestinian rights to self-determination and return, we can better appreciate the depths of their struggle for freedom and justice. Furthermore, this knowledge should serve as a catalyst for activism and solidarity. I encourage listeners to delve deeper into these issues, support Palestinian rights through peaceful and informed means, and engage in meaningful dialogue within their communities. Together, through education and empathy, we can contribute to a broader understanding and support for the Palestinian cause, working towards a future where peace and justice are realized for all.
Thank you for mentioning the Nakba and international law and how we should go out and to put the effort into researching about the Palestinian history and their struggles. You mentioned to me before that this is a moment that was a transition to you, a shift in an era, climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. And that is exactly what's happening in the world right now. What is your opinion about this global shift?
The moment I stood atop Mount Kilimanjaro with the Palestinian flag was profoundly symbolic, marking a personal transition that mirrors the global shifts we are witnessing today. Across the globe, from the streets of Gaza to the challenges in Ukraine, Yemen, and the ongoing struggles in Congo, there's a growing consciousness and mobilization around issues of justice, peace, and sustainability. These movements, though geographically and contextually diverse, are united by a common thread: the quest for dignity, rights, and a sustainable future. This era is characterized by a heightened global interconnectedness powered by digital technology, which has been pivotal in bringing these issues to the forefront of our collective consciousness. It enabled the amplification of voices that were once marginalized, weaving together the narratives of Palestinian resilience, Ukrainian sovereignty, Yemeni and Congolese struggles for peace and stability into a tapestry of global activism and solidarity. In my view, the shift is a testament to a world increasingly aware of its shared vulnerabilities and interconnected challenges. It signals a move towards greater empathy, accountability, and collective action in addressing not only the immediate crises, but also the systemic inequities that underpin them. The Palestinian struggle in this context is both unique in its historical and political complexities and emblematic of the broader fight against oppression, reflecting the universal aspirations for self-determination, justice, and peace. Yet, this global awakening also brings to light the complexity of navigating these intertwined struggles. It demands of us a commitment to understanding the nuances of each context, to fostering dialogue and solidarity across movements, and to advocating for solutions that respect the rights and dignity of all people involved. It's a reminder that our efforts towards building a more just and sustainable world are indeed interconnected, and our success in one area can inspire and bolster progress in others. As we witness this global shift, it's crucial to keep the momentum of this awakening alive, to support one another in various struggles, and to continue pushing for a world where justice and sustainability are not just ideals, but realities for all, including Palestinians, Ukrainians, Yemenis, Congolese, and beyond. This collective journey towards a better future is what truly encapsulates the spirit of the moment on Kilimanjaro, a beacon of hope and a call to action for global solidarity.
It's true that media definitely does have a part to play in this global shift, and how you mentioned Ukraine, Yemen, and also Congo, how this also ties to this idea of peace and sustainability, and how we should also fight for the causes as it's all interconnected with one another. And just a great thing to mention to tie up before taking a short break. We'll be taking a little pause after the ads and the qasidas. We'll be continuing with Liberation Education on Islam Alive Radio. Many of the qasidas that will be played today is from a TikTok audio by Muslim Sounds, and what they do is they remove the music from the sounds to focus more on the vocals, and it's especially powerful for many of the Palestinian songs or pro-Palestinian songs that I will be playing for you today. Shukran. Sit back, relax, and see you after the beat.
Southern Hill Gas and Hardware. If you'd like to purchase any size gas tank or even refill your gas tank, needing any screw or hammer and some sort of building equipment, visit Southern Hill Gas and Hardware in Southern Hill Drive, Lavender Hill. Islam Alive Radio is sponsored by Southern Hill Gas and Hardware, Cape Town, South Africa.
I go to sleep every night feeling traumatized. They say occupation trying to hide that it's a genocide. I just wish a kid could grow up to see his mama. I wish that I could do something about bombs dropped on Gaza. Hurts so bad to know. Where do my tax dollars go? Murdered in cold blood. Poor young soul, all he knew was love. The whole world goes blind, turn to silence while I'm saying free Palestine from the tyrants. I don't even know if I could handle this pain. Every day's a murder, kids get put in the grave. Shot for his race, the place he was raised, when peace was the only thing that he ever craved. So how you justify what you do? It hurts so bad to see all the lives we're losing. It feels like the world goes blind. Free Palestine, free Palestine.
Notice for my people up in Gaza and Ramallah, and it's free Palestine until it's backwards, motherfucker.
Free Palestine, this is the sound of a war. Can you hear me scream? Oh, why can't you see? How much more do we need to bleed? We're children and we're fighting, can't get rid of us. You know it's gonna grow, we won't back down, this land is ours. Free Palestine, this is the sound of a war and a cry for peace.
'Cause I know that everyone knows it's time to take Palestine back this time. We won't hesitate now, I know that this is the sound of I know that everyone knows it's time to take Palestine back this time. We won't hesitate now, I know that this is the sound of
Greetings from Islam Alive Radio. I'm your host of Liberation Education, Ashka Rigo. The songs you just heard, the first one was World Goes Blind by Summer, and the second one was The Sound of War by Eddie Mack featuring Nurhan. Also, both on TikTok, especially as background audios for many protests. This is chapter 11 of the series, taking multiple steps alongside Anthony Svelto, who climbed Mount Kilimanjaro and wove the Palestinian flag at the top. Anthony, we are continuing with the questions to you. We ended on this idea of this era shift or this global transition. And one part of this transition is that of the youth or Gen Z. Why do you think this shift of young activists is important?
In my opinion, Gen Z stands at the forefront of today's global shift towards greater awareness and activism, including the vital support for Palestinian self-determination. Born into an age of unparalleled access to information, Gen Z wields the digital tools necessary to learn, connect, and influence at an unprecedented scale. Their engagement with the Palestinian cause is not just about sharing information, it's about challenging narratives, fostering informed dialogues, and mobilizing international support through their innate digital savvy. In my view, what sets Gen Z apart is their holistic view of global issues. They see the Palestinian struggle not in isolation, but as interconnected with worldwide movements for human rights and social justice. This interconnectedness is key in today's complex global landscapes, where understanding and action must transcend borders. In the context of the Palestinian cause, Gen Z's potential is transformative. By leveraging technology and social media, they can amplify voices that need to be heard, contribute to shifting public opinion, and inspire actions that support justice and peace. Their commitment to equity and their digital prowess position them as crucial allies in the fight for Palestinian liberation and beyond. In sum, Gen Z's role in this era of change is not just important, it is indispensable. Their ability to navigate the digital world with a strong sense of justice could very well be the catalyst we need to advance not only the Palestinian cause, but also the broader quest for a more just, equitable and sustainable world.
You are 100% right of, these social media platforms being allies in the fight for change. In fact, I went to a talk yesterday, and there was a visitor, Mansour Showman. You probably know him. He did a lot of interviews worldwide, and he's from Gaza, but he's a Canadian Palestinian, and he came to Cape Town, South Africa. And yesterday I watched him as he spoke to the audience directly, and he was telling us about how he got on social media. But at first he thought, oh, it's TikTok, oh, it's these sites where kids just have fun. But they realize, this generation, they're changing. They are, like you said, they are catalysts for justice, and they are on Palestine's majority are, for the Palestinian cause, and we understand now the past and how it affects the future, definitely how we should stand up for these causes. However, unfortunately for our youth, there are also plans to silence or censor via bans. Tell us about the problematic implication of these bans.
In the face of escalating attempts to silence voices through digital censorship, like shadow banning on social media platforms influenced by Zionist lobbies, the act of flying the Palestinian flag atop Mount Kilimanjaro stands as a powerful symbol of resistance. This tactic of reducing the visibility of pro-Palestinian narratives under the pretense of anti-Semitism by Zionists is a stark infringement on freedom of speech, betraying a fear among those seeking to control the narrative that they are losing ground in the court of global public opinion. The youth, notably Gen Z, born into an age of digital fluency, are at the vanguard of challenging this censorship. Their engagement is crucial as they wield the tools and platforms that can amplify the Palestinian cause and counteract attempts to mute their advocacy. This generation's potential to influence and mobilize support for Palestine is seen as a threat by those who wish to maintain the status quo, hence the attempts to shadow ban their voices. However, just as ascending Kilimanjaro was a journey of persistence and resilience for me, so too is the quest for Palestinian freedom in the face of digital suppression. My action on Kilimanjaro was meant to echo the unwavering spirit of the Palestinian people and all who support them, highlighting that no matter the attempts to silence, the call for justice and self-determination cannot be ignored. This moment of censorship thus becomes a call to action for all of us, especially the youth, to persist in our advocacy and ensure our voices are heard. It's a reminder that in the struggle for Palestinian rights, as in all struggles for freedom and justice, our resolve must be as steadfast as our commitment to speaking the truth. By standing together, leveraging our collective voice and digital platforms, we can overcome attempts at silencing and continue to push forward the narrative of freedom, dignity, and justice for Palestine and beyond.
That's exactly why your action on Mount Kilimanjaro is such a powerful inspiration, because of your unwavering determination and support for Palestinians. And the same with us, how we should be determined even on social media against powers that want to silence, like you said, the Zionist lobbies who try and censor social media and these different sites so that Israel can essentially not be held accountable for their actions. And you also acknowledged to me that although the bans are being directed under the name of anti-Semitism, there are many Jews that are actually pro-Palestine. Just speak more on this and why you think there is such a divide between Zionist Jews and pro-Palestinian Jews.
This is a very important point you made, Ashika, and thank you for asking. The critical distinction between Zionism and Judaism is a cornerstone for understanding the complex dynamics surrounding the Palestinian struggle for freedom. Zionism, as a nationalistic ideology, was initiated in the late 19th century in Basel, Switzerland, by Theodor Herzl, with the aim of establishing a Jewish homeland in Palestine, stands in contrast to the rich tapestry of Judaic religious and ethical principles, which date back thousands of years and advocate for compassion, justice, and adherence to God's laws, such as not committing acts of murder and theft. The ethical opposition within the Jewish community to Zionism has been articulated by a number of prominent figures throughout history. Individuals like Albert Einstein and Sigmund Freud, renowned for their groundbreaking contributions to their respective fields, have expressed reservations about Zionism's implications, suggesting a tension between the movement's nationalistic aspirations and the ethical mandates of Judaism. Contemporary voices such as Noam Chomsky and Norman Finkelstein continue this tradition of critique, underscoring the importance of aligning Israeli policies with universal human rights standards. Moreover, organizations like the South African Jews for a Free Palestine, SAJFP, Jewish Voice for Peace in the United States, and the ultra-Orthodox rabbis of Neturei Karta represent a visible and vocal opposition to Zionism within the Jewish community. Their advocacy for Palestinian rights is not just a political stance, but a reflection of a deeper commitment to the values of justice and peace inherent in Judaism. Reflecting on my personal journey and activism, the perspectives of these anti-Zionist Jewish figures and organizations have been illuminating. They've shown me that opposition to Zionism is not anti-Semitism, but rather an affirmation of Judaism's deepest ethical commitments. This realization has inspired my own advocacy for Palestinian rights, reinforcing the belief that true justice requires the courage to critique one's own community and stand in solidarity with the oppressed. The historical context of these critiques, coupled with their ongoing influence on current movements for Palestinian rights, underscores a broader shift towards recognizing and addressing systemic injustices. By embracing the legacy of these Jewish anti-Zionist voices, we can foster a more nuanced and informed dialogue around the Palestinian struggle, one that honors the complexity of Jewish identity while advocating for the universal principles of freedom and dignity. In sharing this nuanced perspective, especially within the context of my Kilimanjaro climb and the broader theme of solidarity with Palestine, my hope is to encourage listeners to see the Palestinian cause not just as a regional issue, but as part of a global struggle for justice and human rights, deeply intertwined with the ethical reflections within the Jewish community itself.
Incredibly important points that you've mentioned, how the nationalist ideology, the colonial ideology, was founded by Theodor Herzl back in the 19th century. And, the history of 1948, when Palestinians were displaced from their homes and kicked out of their homes. You also mentioned names like Einstein, who didn't support Zionism, and Chomsky, the South African Jews for a Free Palestine, especially. I'm glad you mentioned that, especially to honor Jewish identity while saying that this is not in our name. It's incredibly important. And yes, your background has many levels of impact, from your parents' nationality, working in Africa or the Congo, you working in America and European countries, as well as you being South African and referencing Nelson Mandela at the highest point in Africa. Walk us through these. How are your levels of identity connected to the Israel-Palestine and what's happening in the world today?
My background indeed weaves through a rich tapestry of cultures, experiences, and influences. Born in France to a Moroccan-French mother and an Italian father, my life has spanned continents, from working and living in Congo and South Africa to studying and working in France, England, and the United States. Each of these experiences has not only enriched my understanding of the world, but also deeply informed my perspectives on identity, conflict, and solidarity. Growing up, my diverse hobbies, including art, chess, breakdancing, astronomy, and traveling, have further propelled me into a wide array of communities and cultures. These interests have been gateways to experiencing the world's complexity and beauty through various lenses, broadening my horizons and nurturing a profound appreciation for humanity's shared experiences and struggles. This multifaceted identity and worldview have profoundly connected me to the Palestinian cause. While I am not Palestinian, the fundamental human desires to live without suffering, to experience freedom, peace, and dignity, and to have fair and equal opportunities are universal. These are not just abstract concepts, but tangible rights that are denied to Palestinians daily. My diverse background has taught me that our shared humanity transcends geographical, cultural, and political boundaries. Invoking Nelson Mandela's words atop Africa's highest peak was a deliberate act to highlight the interconnectedness of our struggles for justice and self-determination. Mandela's legacy, embodying the fight against apartheid and the pursuit of reconciliation and equity in South Africa, resonates deeply with the Palestinian aspiration for freedom and dignity. Therefore, my levels of identity, shaped by my heritage, the places I've called home, and my myriad interests, bind me to the Palestinian struggle. They serve as a reminder that the fight for justice, wherever it may be, is a reflection of our shared human condition. My journey through diverse lands and cultures reinforce the belief that solidarity across differences is not only possible, but essential in our collective pursuit of a more just and compassionate world.
I love that, just your whole, identity with your heritage, and as well as where you traveled and your interests. And I want to specifically pinpoint one interest of yours was the breakdancing, because you mentioned this to me and it really spoke out to me, how in your teen years, you went to disadvantaged neighborhoods and you would breakdance with your friends, and how the media would demonize these communities generally, but they don't speak about the wonderful sense of community that you experience, and how the media can sometimes or oftentimes be one-dimensional, and that's how fear and dehumanization gets built. And that also leads to this idea of Palestine, how we've constantly been fed this dehumanization of Arabs and these different identities, and it's important to recognize how we should humanize these communities. Along with being an architect, you are vocal about climate change. What do you think architecture has to do with climate change and other political issues?
Architecture's profound connection with human societies is evident in how our environments influence us, and conversely, how we shape those environments. This relationship is at the heart of architectural design, emphasizing the need for spaces that enhance human well-being and foster a positive interaction between the internal and external realms. The significance of designing thoughtfully extends beyond aesthetics, touching on deep environmental, economic, and social implications. A pivotal concept underscoring the impact of our built environments is the broken window theory, which suggests that unattended problems in a built environment not only degrade the physical space, but also affect people's attitudes towards their surroundings and themselves. This leads to a cycle where neglect begets further neglect, impacting community well-being and social behavior significantly. Such insights highlight the responsibility of architects to create environments that communicate care and respect for their inhabitants, thereby fostering a healthier community dynamic. My interest in architecture, particularly sustainable architecture, is guided by the principle of integrated sustainable design. This approach goes beyond environmental sustainability to encompass economic and social sustainability, weaving these aspects into a cohesive strategy that aims for truly sustainable and regenerative designs. The Living Future Institute's Living Building Challenge exemplifies this ethos, offering the world's most rigorous standards for sustainable buildings. It's not merely about environmental stewardship, but also about embedding social justice and economic viability into the fabric of our built environments. Adopting the Living Building Challenge guidelines, I strive to create designs that are not only environmentally conscious, but also economically sound and socially equitable. This integrative approach ensures that architecture serves as a catalyst for positive change, addressing the pressing issues of climate change, social inequality, and economic disparity. In essence, architecture has the potential to profoundly influence climate change and political issues by promoting holistic vision of sustainability. By integrating principles of environmental, economic, and social sustainability, architects can lead the way in crafting solutions that address these global challenges head-on. Through thoughtful design and commitment to integrated sustainable principles, we have the opportunity to reshape our world for the better, echoing the transformative power of architecture in society.
Incredible how you notice that architecture goes beyond aesthetics, but it goes with sustainability and also empathy towards others and communities to create this sustainable world. That it's not just about efficient buildings, but the true basis is, having this comfort space of, a group of people. And that includes, this political sphere as well. We'll be taking a short break again. for the ads and also a little bit of the songs. And one song I'll be playing is a testament to Anthony and his background with his mother being Moroccan. It's a song I played before, well, an artist I played before, Feerouza, who is a Moroccan artist, and the song is called Minefields, as in there are so many barriers that are stopping love, but nevertheless they will prevail.
Islam Live Radio is sponsored by Al Muqeed Foundation South Africa. Would you like to donate cash or kind towards feeding our children and people? Contact the following number, +27 66 33 99 775. Al Muqeed Foundation South Africa, Cape Town, South Africa, serving the humanity.
Oh, these minefields that I walk through. Ooh, what I wish to be close to you. Ooh, these minefields keeping me from you. Oh, what I wish to be close to you. Close to you. Now this might be a mistake that I'm calling you this late, but these dreams I have of you ain't real enough. بس الحكي شو بعد تقول خلص البكي والقلب مجروح
Greetings from Islam Live Radio. I'm your host of Liberation Education, Ashka Rico. This is chapter 11 of the series. The songs that you just heard, the first one, like I mentioned before, it's a song by Feerouza, a Moroccan artist, to honor Anthony's diverse backgrounds and identities that impacted who he is today. And the second one is called Olive Branch by Eliana. You've heard it before, except this time without music, but it's just her raw vocals and her expressing her love for her homeland in Palestine. Continuing with chapter 11 of a series, which is Climbing for a Cause with Anthony Svelto. And we spoke previously about Gen Z and the censor bans, as well as how anti-Semitism is not equal to anti-Zionism, as well as Anthony's architecture, dealing with architecture and political issues ingrained in it. Going back to Israel-Palestine again, one issue that myself and Anthony have spoken on is the retaliation of October 7th. And we spoke about the saying of an eye for an eye makes the world blind. According to this retaliation, Anthony, please speak more about this.
Before I share my perspective on the tragic events of October 7th, I recognize that opinions may vary, especially among your listeners. My intention is to offer my personal viewpoint on the principles of an eye for an eye, without dictating how Palestinians and others should respond to their daily injustices and the specific incidents of October 7th. I invite you to consider what resonates and leave what does not. The uncensored footage is I witnessed from October 7th, from body cameras to mobile phone videos to CCTV camera footage, depicted acts of violence that deeply conflict with my core values. Such acts of aggression, irrespective of the perpetrator, contravene the principles of humanity that I hold dear. It's untenable to me to justify violence against civilians on either side. Every innocent life matters, deserving of peace and dignity. However, I also acknowledge the complexity of these sentiments, especially given that I haven't endured the loss and daily humiliations faced by those living under occupation in Palestine. While my empathy is genuine, it can only stretch so far in understanding the depth of their suffering, highlighting the critical need for dialogue rooted in mutual respect and recognition of our shared humanity. Reflecting on historical cycles of violence and retaliation, like those seen in post-World War I Germany, underscores the futility and danger of punitive measures that only seed further extremism, like the rise of the Nazis. The lesson from the aftermath of World War II, that reconstruction and reconciliation are essential to healing, is one that seems painfully overlooked in Gaza today. The parallels drawn between the treatment of Jews in the Warsaw Ghetto and Palestinians in Gaza today highlight a tragic failure of Israelis to learn from history, perpetuating cycles of suffering. This brings to mind a profoundly moving incident involving a South African imam in Cape Town a few months ago. Following a picket to support Palestine, he spoke of an event where pictures of Israeli hostages taken by Hamas, as well as murdered Israelis, were on October 7th, were displayed along the Sea Point promenade. Rather than endorsing the removal of these images, he suggested an alternative approach of placing flowers besides the pictures of the murdered and kidnapped Israelis, and alongside place images of deceased Palestinian children. This powerful gesture aimed to illustrate our shared capacity for suffering and the transformative potential of empathy and understanding, even in the face of deep-seated conflict. Such acts of compassion, paralleled by my own experience of forgiving an abusive ex-employer during my reflective journey up Mount Kilimanjaro, underscore the belief that empathy and forgiveness are not signs of weakness, but profound strength. They liberate us from the prisons of resentment and pain, guiding us towards a future of peace. In closing, the cycle of an eye for an eye only perpetuates violence and suffering. True courage lies in breaking this cycle through acts of understanding, compassion, and forgiveness, much like the greatest spiritual leaders across histories and traditions have taught us. This is the path to healing and ultimately to a lasting peace that honors our shared humanity and dignity.
That's not a perspective we hear quite often, and I think it just shines a light on, the future and what it will eventually come down to. Just like in South Africa, what we had to do to navigate through the space after apartheid, where many black people have suffered and so many white settlers were already on the land. And now we have to think about a way to actually build a better future for South Africa. And now we've come to apartheid and occupation in Palestine, and thinking about all these ways to, dismantle but also build a new society. And we have to consider this transformation And so it is powerful, and a stance we hear quite often. However, that seems like a very difficult task to navigate, and something deep into the future where we have already dealt with, the genocide and the protest against the occupation and all these multifaceted levels of genocide worldwide. And now that we are facing this right now, in 2024, it's just, it's an interesting perspective, and it's an important perspective that you brought up. I forgot my next question. But yes, you mentioned you were passionate about astronomy as well. I'm taking a step back from literally taking a step back into space. But you are passionate about astronomy and the study of space. But how could this change one's perspective of political struggles?
Astronomy has always stirred in me a profound sense of wonder, a passion ignited under the night sky's vast canvas, filled with stars, planets, and galaxies. My childhood was marked by countless hours spent peering through a telescope, marveling at the beauty of Jupiter's storms, the rings of Saturn, and the mysterious glow of distant nebulas. These experiences were not just about exploration, but also about understanding my place in the universe. They taught me that while we may seem small and fragile within the cosmic expanse, we are also an integral part of this vast universe. This realization brings into sharp focus the significance of our home planet, a shared vessel on our journey through space, emphasizing our collective responsibility to cherish and protect it. Carl Sagan, a towering figure in the field of astronomy and one of my greatest inspirations, played a pivotal role in shaping my understanding of the cosmos. His ability to communicate the complexities of space in a way that was accessible and awe-inspiring has left a lasting impact on how I view our place in the universe. Carl Sagan's insight, particularly his reflections on the pale blue dot, which can be accessed on websites like YouTube, serve as a powerful reminder of Earth's vulnerability and the absurdity of our divisions when viewed from the vastness of space. This photograph of Earth, captured by the Voyager 1 spacecraft from billions of miles away, shows our world as a mere speck against the enormity of the cosmos, underscoring Sagan's message that our planet is a lonely speck in the great enveloping cosmic dark. Reflecting on my climb up Mount Kilimanjaro, I was struck by a similar sense of interconnectedness and humility. Standing atop Africa's highest peak, I felt an overwhelming connection to the universe and an acute awareness of our shared journey on this pale blue dot. It was a moment that echoed Sagan's teachings, the recognition that despite our individual and collective struggles, we are bound by our common humanity and our role as stewards of this fragile planet. Sagan's work reminds us that the study of astronomy is not just an academic pursuit, but a means to broaden our perspective on life, politics, and our existence. It challenges us to look beyond our immediate concerns and to see ourselves as part of a larger cosmic story. This perspective is crucial in today's world, where political struggles often overshadow our shared goals of peace, sustainability, and progress. By embracing our intrinsic connection to the universe, as Sagan so eloquently advocated, we can foster a deeper appreciation for our planet and each other, driving us to act with more compassion, unity, and purpose. In sum, my passion for astronomy and the teachings of Carl Sagan have profoundly influenced my views on political struggles and human unity. They have taught me that by adopting a cosmic perspective, we can transcend our differences and work together to safeguard our shared home, fostering a future where harmony and sustainability reigns supreme.
That's such an amazing and life-changing concept. In fact, you recommended I watch the Pale Blue Dot, Cosmos, a Space-Time Odyssey, and I got quite emotional watching it because, like you said, it's just about humbling yourself. And what the documentary mentioned was how, as you see the Earth, it's just like a pale blue dot in the night, and it's just quite humbling because so many people on our Earth, we want so much power, and we see ourselves as these big, great people, but essentially what this does, this pale blue dot, is it reduces us, it shrinks us into this small, tiny insignificance, basically, and it's just quite humbling to recognize and to realize that we're all just insignificant at the end of the day. So why should we just spend our time or waste our time doing insignificant things that are negative things that affect our planet? So quite an amazing astronomical shift, like you mentioned. Now going back to Earth, the actual the zooming in back onto Earth and our struggles on what's happening now. Recently, an American veteran self-immolated in front of the Israeli embassy here in Bushnell. What is your view on this message?
The news of Aaron Bushnell's self-immolation outside the Israeli embassy was profoundly shocking. This act of protest, reminiscent of Buddhist monk in Vietnam during the 60s, speaks to a harrowing depth of despair and a desperate cry for the world's attention to the tragedy unfolding in Gaza. Bushnell's choice, driven by extreme frustration with the global elite inaction on the calls for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza, forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about the state of our world. It's a stark illustration of the length to which individuals are pushed when they feel voiceless and powerless, when peaceful protests and pleas fall on deaf ears. My heart sank at the news, overwhelmed by a mix of sadness and frustration. It begs the question, why must the cries for peace and justice be ignored to the extent that someone feels their only recourse is self-sacrifice? Bushnell's act is a dire emblem of the collective failure to listen and respond to the anguish and demands of people worldwide advocating for an end to violence. This moment should compel us all, especially those in positions of power, to reflect deeply on our responsibilities. It underscores the urgent need for empathy, engagement, and genuine efforts to address the root causes of conflict. As we process the gravity of Bushnell's actions, let it not be in vain. Instead, let it galvanize a committed global effort towards understanding peace and a world where such extreme measures are never seen as the only option.
That resonates so deeply. Why does the cries have to be ignored to the extent that someone has to sacrifice their lives? And, especially a veteran who said that they won't be complicit in genocide and like self-immolating himself and saying this is the norms that our government has set out. This is what they have chosen. And it's just incredibly, like you said, frustrating how it had led to that. And so many veterans are standing up for that message as well. We spoke about your levels of experiences and identity. In Liberation Education, we are open to the concept of intersectionality of injustices. And you speak on climate change, you speak on Palestine and African struggles and colonialism and the animal rights. Why and how do you discuss these all at once?
My journey through diverse cultures, my deep engagement with astronomy, and my experiences in architecture have collectively shaped my understanding of the interconnectedness of struggles across the globe. The concept of intersectionality of injustices resonates with me because it reflects the complex, multifaceted nature of the challenges we face as a global community. Discussing climate change, Palestine, African struggles, and colonialism together is not only a reflection of their interconnectedness, but also a recognition of the universal fight for justice, dignity, and sustainability. My fascination with astronomy has taught me to see the Earth as a singular fragile home for all of humanity, underscoring the absurdity of our divisions and the shared responsibility we hold in its stewardship. Similarly, my passion for architecture has highlighted the impact of our built environments on social justice and environmental sustainability, drawing parallels between the degradation of our planet and the systemic injustices faced by marginalized communities. Discussing these issues together allows for a more comprehensive understanding of the root causes and potential solutions. It acknowledges that the struggle against climate change is deeply tied to our efforts to address colonial legacies, support Palestinian rights, and champion African liberation. This approach enables a holistic perspective, one that seeks to address the systemic inequalities and environmental challenges that are often the result of interconnected historical, social, and political factors. Moreover, my climb up Mount Kilimanjaro served as a powerful metaphor for the collective journey towards justice and sustainability. It reminded me that, like the climb, the path to addressing these global challenges is steep and fraught with obstacles, but not unsurmountable if we work together, acknowledging our shared humanity and the interconnected nature of our struggles. In essence, discussing these issues all at once is not only a reflection of their intertwined nature, but also a commitment to a more just and sustainable world. It's about recognizing that the liberation of one is tied to the liberation of all, and that our efforts to create change must be as interconnected as the injustices we seek to overcome. By adopting an intersectional approach, we can better understand the complexities of global struggles and work towards holistic solutions that honor our collective humanity and the planet we call home.
I love that the liberation of one equals to the liberation of all, and it ties to that saying that you mentioned on Mount Kilimanjaro of Nelson Mandela, our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. And you also mentioned to me how a saying from Native Americans, how the world is like a web of a spider, and the ripple on one side causes the ripple of the other side, and it's a testament to this, to how, like you say, this universal fight for justice and how everything affects another, like a domino effect, essentially. Amongst climate change, you spoke on the dangers of a consumerist mindset. What is this and how do we counter this?
In our contemporary world, my greatest concern isn't necessarily human beings themselves, but the mindsets and belief systems prevalent in today's consumerist society. This culture, steeped in individualism and greed, perpetuates a dangerous cycle of me, and more, leaving us in a perpetual state of wanting without fulfillment. Gandhi's words resonate deeply with me. The earth provides enough to satisfy every man's needs, but not every man's greed. It's this distinction between need and greed that highlights the unsustainability of our current path. The consumerist mindset, with the insatiable appetite for consumption, fails to see the long-term consequences of its actions. This approach is not only unsustainable, but also fundamentally disconnected from the holistic and considerate ways of living that have guided human societies for millennia. For instance, the Native American principle of considering the impact of one's actions on 7 generations ahead embodies a profound respect for the environment and future generations. It's a mindset that acknowledges our interconnectedness with Mother Earth and the legacy we leave behind. There is a Native American proverb that echoes this concept. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, but we borrow it from our children. Adopting such holistic view necessitates a shift from the rampant consumerism that defines much of modern life to a more sustainable, thoughtful way of living. This involves recognizing that true happiness and contentment don't stem from endless consumption, but from a deep connection to the world around us and a consideration for the well-being of future generations. To counter the prevailing consumerist mindset, we need to cultivate a culture that values sustainability, community, and the long-term health of our planet over immediate gratification. This means learning from the wisdom of cultures like the Native Americans, who have long understood the importance of living in harmony with nature. It's about embracing spiritual principles that celebrate our connection to the earth and each other, fostering a society where we strive to be ancestors worthy of admiration and respect. By shifting our collective mindset towards one of responsibility and interconnectedness, we can begin to address the root causes of environmental degradation and work towards a future that honors the balance between human needs and the health of our planet. It's a significant challenge, but one that we must embrace if we are to ensure a sustainable and thriving world for generations to come.
This consumerist mindset that you mentioned is something that we all definitely should take into consideration. In fact, it reminds me of Greta Thunberg, the Swedish activist for climate change, and how she recently did take a shift into being pro-Palestinian and actually recognizing that this isn't just a problem of climate change alone, but it's every single corporate capitalist, system that alienates us from the spiritual and environmental sources of, growth. And it makes you wonder, like this materialistic, looting of resources, the pollution, what's happening in Congo and the Middle East, and how we should actually change it to healthier mindsets. And that's why the boycott is so important. It's just this signification of selflessness towards Palestine, and it also helps our bodies as well, and how it sustains ourselves in the long run, as well as these different places like Congo and Palestine, because like you mentioned, it's the corporate mindset of how everything is interconnected. These are great and important discussions we're having. So thank you, Anthony, so much for coming on, and it's such an honor to have you as someone who has this multiple levels of impact from your heritage, from the places you've traveled up until your activist work and your powerful statement on Mount Kilimanjaro. And it's such an honor to have had you and to have the discussion with you. Finally, to end off this conversation, what advice do you have for us, for the youth, especially academic youth? Any final words for our listeners?
To everyone tuning in, I've got something I really want to share with you. Picture this: standing at the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, above the clouds, closer to the stars than I've ever been. It hit me hard up there, this feeling of being a tiny part of something so vast, yet totally connected. It's like what Carl Sagan said about us being made of star stuff. Yeah, the same elements that make up the stars in the sky are in us too. It's mind-blowing when you think about it. and it's a game changer in how we see ourselves and our place in the universe. So what does this all mean for us, especially in today's world? Well, first off, it tells us that we're all in this together, riding on the same planet through the vast cosmos. It's a call to action for us to live consciously, knowing that what we do today shapes the world for generations ahead. Think about it. Every choice we make, from what we buy to how we vote, sends ripples through time and space. I really encourage you guys to check out Carl Sagan, The Pale Blue Dot, on YouTube, and also read his book, The Pale Blue Dot. Let it sink in. That one image of Earth, a tiny speck, caught in a sunbeam, shows just how fragile and unique our home is. It's a powerful reminder that fighting over borders, resources, or who's right and wrong misses the bigger picture of our shared humanity and the urgent need to take care of our planet. Climbing Kilimanjaro wasn't just a personal challenge, it was a vivid lesson in humility and unity. It made me realize that, in the grand scheme, our time here is brief, but our impact doesn't have to be small. We, the youth, millennials, Gen Z, we've got the power to make a difference. Whether it's through tackling climate change, standing up for justice, or just being kinder to each other, we've got a role to play in the universe's grand story. My advice? Dive deep, find what lights you up, and use that to serve not just yourself but others. Embrace the fact that we're all part of this incredible cosmic journey. Let's make our time count. Let's be the generation that looked up at the stars, not just to dream, but to guide our actions here on Earth towards a more sustainable, just, and compassionate world. Remember, it's not just about reaching for the stars, but realizing we're already a part of them. And in that realization, let's work together to make this pale blue dot a place we're proud to call home.
I absolutely love that, and how you ended off the session. That's incredible. That your language is super important, and it's incredible for us to really be inspired by that, and be liberated by this fact of astronomy, and also your words coming from someone who's been at the highest top to speak about Palestine. It's incredibly empowering. And yes, definitely to our listeners, like Anthony said, we're all given a mission on this earth, how essentially, and how we choose to live on this small pale dot can make a ripple effect, like this spider web of ripples through the earth. And because we're all connected as stars, and I find that so incredibly beautiful. Before you leave, we want to know, where can our listeners follow you for more of this inspiration and your work?
Thank you so much, Ashika, for this incredible opportunity to discuss my journey and the profound experience of flying the Palestinian flag atop Mount Kilimanjaro. To everyone listening, your engagement and willingness to explore these topics mean the world to me. If you're interested in continuing this conversation or just want to follow along with my adventures and reflections, you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. Just search for Anthony Svelto. Anthony Svelto, Svelto. I look forward to connecting with you there. For those who prefer more direct line of communication, feel free to drop me an email at anthony.svelto, Svelto, @gmail.com. Whether it's thoughts on what we've discussed today, questions, or even your own stories of inspiration and struggle, I'm all ears. Once again, thank you, Ashika, and a huge thanks to all the listeners. Your openness to considering new perspectives and engaging in meaningful dialogue is what truly makes a difference in this world. Let's keep this conversation going and work together towards understanding, compassion, and action.
Thank you so much, Anthony, for being here. It's such an honor to have you to speak to us about your story, your experiences, your work. It's very empowering, especially on Chapter 11 of Liberation Education. And for the last song I would like to play for you and our listeners, it's a song called Read All About It by Emily Sand. It's a little snippet of this, just to encapsulate this idea of the youth and, you know, the world speaking out against injustices, even though we are afraid to do so, even though we think it's just this tiny, you know, act. But like you said, we all have a part to play. No matter how big or small, it still makes an impact. It still makes this ripple effect in this world. So thank you, Anthony. Thank you to our listeners. And thank you for being tuned to Islam Alive Radio.
You've got the words to change a nation, but you're biting your tongue. You spent a lifetime stuck in silence, afraid you'll say something wrong. If no one ever hears it, how we gonna learn your song? So come on, come on, come on, come on. You've got a heart as loud as lion, so why let your voice be tamed? Maybe we're a little different, there's no need to be ashamed. You've got the light to fight the shadow, so stop hiding it away. Come on, come on. I wanna sing, I wanna shout, I wanna scream till the words dry out. So put it in all of the papers, I'm not afraid. They can read all about it, read all about it. No.
Shukran for being tuned to Islam Alive Radio. Remember, you may check us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, where you can like, share, and subscribe. For any queries, email us on islamaliveradio@gmail.com or send us a WhatsApp on +27 81 217 6012. That's +27 81 217 6012. I am your host, Ashkarigo, of Liberation Education Show for the youth, especially the academic youth. And we had Anthony Svelto. I'll play more songs, but this is related to Palestine this time. You've heard these Palestinian artists before and these pro-Palestinian songs, except this time without music, for the respect of Ramadan, and also to encapsulate and focus on the voices of Palestine. Shukran. Before we end, I'd like to read the Islam Alive Radio Ramadan Pledge 2024, 1445 AH, for our destitute and for Gaza, serving our Ummah with love and share to those who we care. Jazakallah. You can donate to our Capitec Bank, Islam Alive Radio. That's the account holder. The account number is 210-797-6836. The SWIFT code is CABLZAJJ. The branch code is 470010. And you can also donate to our PayPal account, paypal.me/IRA786. I repeat, paypal.me/IRA786. Please do not forget your reference and number. Additionally, St. Luke's Combined Hospices, the interview I had in Chapter 10, they're also having a pledge drive on the 31st of March 2024 at 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So please stay tuned for St. Luke's Combined Hospices. Join our pledge drive on Mahilall TV, DSTV channel 347, St. Luke's Combined Hospices, Sunday 31st of March 2024 from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. You can contact 087-265-5045 or on WhatsApp 079-215-1412.
على عهدي على ديني على أرض تلاقيني أنا لأهلي أنا فديهم أنا دمي فلسطيني 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 أنا دمي فلسطيني فلسطيني على أرض تلاقيني أنا لأهلي أنا فديهم والله أنا دمي فلسطيني 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 أنا دمي فلسطيني. عودتنا إيمان ويقين لن نسكت لن نستسلم لا 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 لا, لا نفديك لنحيا يا فلسطين فلسطين بلادي نحملها جرحا أو أملا لا 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 لو راح تبقى فيها اليوم الدين لن نسكت لن نستسلم لا 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 لا, لا نفديك لنحيا يا فلسطين فلسطين بلادي نحملها جرحا أو أملا لا 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 لو راح تبقى فيها اليوم الدين فلسطين بلادي لن نسكت لن نستسلم لا 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 لا, لا نفديك لنحيا يا فلسطين فلسطين بلادي نحملها جرحا أو أملا لا 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 لو راح تبقى فيها اليوم الدين فلسطين بلادي.
فلسطيني 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 أنا اللي اسمي يكفيني
أنا الصامد على أرضي ورافع للسما جبيني
فلسطيني فلسطيني
فلسطيني فلسطيني أنا اللي اسمي يكفيني أنا الصامد على أرضي ورافع للسما جبيني
فلسطيني فلسطيني
فلسطيني ويا نيالي عزيز وراسي بالعالي وحب بلادي طوالي بدمي وبشراييني فلسطين ولهون وبس عباتي هالوطن ينمس أنا روحي فدا للقدس لبي لو تناديني
فلسطيني فلسطيني
أنا اللي اسمي يكفيني أنا الصامد على أرضي ورافع للسما جبيني
فلسطيني فلسطيني
مفتاح البيت بقلبي وانا راجع وبايدي ولدي ولو كل العالم كان ضدي انا راجع يا بلادي راجع البيت بقلبي وانا راجع وبايدي ولدي ولو كل العالم كان ضدي انا راجع يا بلادي راجع مفتاح البيت بقلبي وانا راجع وبايدي ولدي ولو كل العالم كان ضدي أنا راجع يا بلادي راجع البيت بقلبي وأنا راجع وبإيدي ولدي ولو كل العالم كان ضدي أنا راجع